We're in the middle of a national identity crisis. Faith, patriotism, and hard work have disappeared, only to be replaced by new secular religions, like COVIDism, climatism, and gender ideology. We hunger to be part of something bigger than ourselves, yet we cannot even answer the question of what it means to be an American. Today, the woke left preys on that vacuum. They tell you that your race, your gender, and your sexual orientation govern who you are, what you can achieve, and what you're allowed to think. This is psychological slavery, and that has created a new culture of fear in our country that has completely replaced our culture of free speech in America. And that is why today I am announcing my run for President of the United States. This isn't just a political campaign. This is a cultural movement to create a new American dream for the next generation. To me, the American dream, I gotta tell you, the music is really good. That you get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character and your contributions. It means you believe the people who we elect to run the government are the ones who actually run the government, not a federal bureaucracy that grows like a national cancer that is now metastasizing to the private sector. It means that the best ideas win instead of getting censored. It means you don't have to choose between speaking your mind freely and putting food on the dinner table.
This feels like an ad to like want to come to America. You know what I'm saying? Like if I was trying to get people to come to America, I would hire this dude and tell him to like do a commercial with me. And look, it's just obvious that he believes in American exceptionalism. Like that's the problem right there. In all honesty, he believes that America is this special sacred place when we have real freaking problems right now. Homeless people are everywhere. Veterans do not have the health care that they need. Like, this is not a joke. Education is suffering. American exceptional. These people crack me up. Yo, this is hard to watch. I'm not gonna lie. Because I literally know I'm watching propaganda and it sucks.
Means you believe these ideals form the backbone of the greatest nation on earth. That the rest of the world still looks up to as its example. Not the Soviet Union in the last century, and not communist China in this one either. That is the new American dream. Ask yourself if you believe in these ideals. I think most of you do. I think most of you believe your neighbors do too. Though you can't be sure because you don't feel free to talk about it anymore. You might disagree with each other about corporate tax rates, or about whether ivermectin treats COVID, but those are details. We still agree on our nation's most fundamental principles. At least most of us do. Yet the goal of the ruling party in this country is to convince us that we are divided. Why? So they can accumulate more power for themselves. Well, you know what? I have a dream that we can be one people again. We have obsessed so much over our diversity and our differences
he made this shit
that we forgot all the ways we're really just the same as Americans, bound together by a common set of ideals that brought together a divided, diverse, headstrong group of people 250 years ago. And I believe deep in my bones that those ideals still exist, and I am running for president to revive them. E pluribus unum. From many, one. That is the dream that won the American Revolution. That is the dream that reunited us after the Civil War. That is the dream that won us 2 world wars and the Cold War. That is the dream that still gives hope to the free world today. And if we can revive that dream over fractious group identity, then nobody in the world, not a nation, not a corporation, not a virus, is going to defeat us. That is what American exceptionalism is all about. And that is what we will need to revive to save this great nation.
I'm speechless. I'm speechless. Not because I feel like inspired to want to vote for Vivek Rameswamy. It's just that I know that shit is going to work on people. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, comrades, friends, people I don't like, the homies. Yo, that was just all that was propaganda. And the crazy thing about it is Vivek Ramaswamy speaks so well. I mean, this man speaks so well. You know? And he's a smart guy. You know, he's direct, he's clear, he can take a punch, he can dish it out with respect. Like, you watch his interviews with like David Pakman and even on the Breakfast Club, which we're gonna get to later. You know, he held his own, but that's what it looks like when somebody whoops your ass. Ooh, excuse me. Okay, we're back. That Breakfast Club interview is what it looks like when somebody gets their ass whooped by their mama when they don't want to listen. Whoo, we gonna get into all of it. Like and comment and subscribe, and please check out more of our videos. By you subscribing, I was able to go ahead and get this mic, and hopefully if we get to 50 subscribers, we can actually go ahead and get this camera. Help a brother out. We're working hard. The first thing we're going to go into is him and his Biden conspiracies about the election. But we're really going to talk about how he feels about black people, or at least how I feel he feels about black people. So
this might two-part question. What are your plans to secure the security and integrity of the election? And then also, do you think, on record, do you believe that Joe Biden is a legitimately elected president? And why is the answer no?
Thank you, man. What's your name?
Christian, thank you.
Christian. So I'm going to answer this in the spirit of one of the earlier questions about national unity. Okay? What you hear tuning to MSNBC on a given night concerns the question you just asked. That is a threat to our democracy. You are a threat to our democracy for even asking that question, daring to ask a question, questioning the legitimacy of an election result. Shame on you. Racist or whatever, the case may go. That's not the way we unite the country. Here's what I say. If that's really a grave concern about belief in the legitimacy of our elections, then I'm willing to do a deal. I'm going to ask all of you to come with me in my willingness and back me up in doing this deal. Because we've got to move forward as a country.
probably not.
One election day. National holiday.
That doesn't make any sense, bro.
Voter ID.
People need time to vote.
Matched to the voter file. Paper ballots. That's it. But we have to, so we get those things. If we get that much, now we have to keep our end of the bargain. National unity. We keep our end of the bargain. Get those four things. This
how
is
do
not
you...
controversial. If there's such an important issue and a threat to our democracy, fine, do these four simple things. And then I, for one, will pledge.
Four simple things. Okay, first of all, stick to our pledge of national unity. America is deeply racist most of the time. So you're going to have a hard time doing that. So I don't understand how you're supposed to, what are you saying? We're supposed to keep our end of the bargain by keeping some type of national unity, and you'll ensure that people get proper rights to vote for things? What? Go ahead. Can
to be done with talking about election integrity as an issue, because we can believe in the result of that election. That deal moves us forward as a country. Okay, you won't hear another complaint from me if we just secure voter ID, same-day voting, national holiday, matched to the voter file, paper ballots that can be verified. This is how we move a nation forward, not by compromising, but by being uncompromising about a simple, pragmatic reality. Now, the 2020 election was also stolen in one more, in probably the most provable way, was the Hunter Biden laptop story being suppressed. It was stolen by I think this is something that no amount of the deal I just laid out is going to fix this.
All right.
It's going to take different kind of action.
Okay.
Where large tech companies decided that a story on the eve of an election, which most voters say would have changed their result, nonetheless was systematically suppressed. And you had your own...
I could see how he can say that given what happened with Director James Comey and the Hillary Clinton email story. But at the time that he's talking about this Hunter Biden laptop thing, I'm telling you, nobody gave a damn about that laptop. Nobody cared. I mean, people still don't care. And then they got the laptop, and all they got out of it was he ain't pay his taxes and a gun charge.
Social media accounts locked even if you did share that story. And this is also personal to me. I've had my LinkedIn account locked as a U.S. presidential candidate. I'm now polling third in the Republican primary for U.S. president. And thank you, I appreciate that. But I was saying it for a different reason, which is that LinkedIn then locks my account in the middle of an election season. For making statements that
I don't care about your LinkedIn account, bro. Listen. This is some corny stuff. Nobody cares that your LinkedIn account got locked out because you wanted to talk about Hunter Biden. He likes to play on audience fears and that kind of thing, and then throw out red meat with the voter stuff. First of all, he's talking about he wanted 4 things. He said 5 things. Voter ID, what was it? Paper ballots, voter ID, same-day voting, make it a national holiday, and match the voter file. Those are 5 things. So which one is it, 4 or 5? Like, is he insane? My grandfather fought for this country. For what he believed it stood up for. And it wasn't for you to pass judgment on Americans because your family came here from somewhere else. Said, "Oh, we should have to pass the test too, or we should have to have some strict." Man, listen, leave me alone. My family has contributed to this country. I'm not taking no. I'm not doing nothing extra to vote. Get out of here with that, bro. Cornball.
I think you mentioned this in your speech. I just want to clarify. Do you think the only reason that we're involved in Ukraine is because of Hunter Biden and Burisma? What is the connection between Hunter Biden
this guy and
Burisma
Hunter
and our
Biden, bro.
involvement in this war, do you think?
Well, look, I think it is a hard fact that a Ukrainian-affiliated company, a Ukraine state-affiliated company, made a $5 million payment to the son of a sitting vice president, who's now the president of the United States, who is now sending $200 billion of aid to a country without ever identifying what the clear national objective is that we're advancing by sending that money. Everything I just told you is fact. Now, it is also further my...
It's a fact, but it doesn't prove, and there's no evidence that that's the reason why we're in a war with Ukraine, because Hunter Biden had a deal with someone in Ukraine. What? That is nonsense, Vivek Rameswamy.
Perspective that this war does not advance American interests. We are further driving Russia into China's hands. We are increasing the risk of nuclear war.
That's also a fact, but that has nothing to do with Hunter Biden.
And we're depleting capabilities that we may better use in other circumstances. So I think that was the payment to Hunter Biden corrupt? Absolutely it was. Do I think that it has some relationship to our posture towards Ukraine? I think it's likely that it does. And does this affect the way Vladimir Putin may look at the relationship between the U.S.?
He is saying to you that Hunter Biden's business dealings has an influence on the war in Ukraine. That's what this crazy person is telling you.
In Ukraine, I think that's a legitimate question to ask too, because if you're in Putin's shoes, you're saying, wait a minute, here's a country that's paying bribes to the
Hunter
son
Biden.
of the person who's now the U.S. president, that's now arming my enemy.
What's
to
he doing?
So
over
yes, I
here
do think that
making
Hunter
business
Biden
deals
has
and
become a
minding his
geopolitical
business
disaster. Already, his situation with Burisma in Ukraine was the basis for the second impeachment of the last president. And so this guy is a whirling dervish of a disaster in Washington, D.C. There's not some fringe issue anymore that's just a partisan politics tussle.
Yeah, because
It's
you're a
having a direct
presidential
impact
candidate and
on
you're talking
real
about it.
geopolitical realities in the world, and I think it's a problem, and we've got to get to the bottom of it.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't see how any of you guys take this clown seriously. I really, really don't. Whatever. I don't really care about Hunter Biden. If Hunter Biden broke the law, somebody charge him, and please let's stop talking about it, because it has nothing to do with the foreign policy in Ukraine and Russia and what's going on. It has nothing to do with that, and I don't give a damn about Hunter Biden. I don't care. As a voter, I don't care. I said it. I don't care. Jeez. Here's the part that I really wanted to talk about. Vivek Ramaswamy has a real contempt for black people. At least that's what I've noticed. And I don't really understand why. I mean, again, we'll get to the Breakfast Club interview where we talk about where he talks about, he pretty much says in a nutshell, listen, if you agree with me, cool. If you don't, that's fine. But if you feel like, you like what I say, come vote for me. He don't really want your vote. He don't want it. He don't care about your vote. He's trying to win the Republican nomination. He's trying to get power. He probably wants a book deal and a nice cushy job somewhere and make money after. Like, Vivek Ramaswamy is grifting all of y'all. Just like RFK was. Who's becoming a non-factor because of Cornel West. Might I add. Just saying. So let's look at Vivek Ramaswamy and his demeanor towards black issues.
Do you think Juneteenth is a useless holiday?
I basically do. Single day voting on election day. We will make election day a holiday in the United States of America, so there's no complaints about it. Cancel Juneteenth or one of the other useless ones we made up. Okay? We can't have like everything be a holiday, but we'll cancel one of the other ones and make election day a holiday. Paper ballots and government issued voter ID that matches the voter file. That is what we will do.
Going back to your election security plan, you said you wanted to have a holiday. You said maybe cancel Juneteenth or one of those other useless holidays. Do you think Juneteenth is a useless holiday?
I basically do. Yeah.
Do you think Memorial Day, Veterans Day are useless holidays?
I don't, because I stand with the presumption of time-tested traditions. Like I said, religion is, I call these things cults. I won't dignify them as religious because religions have withstood the test of time. And so I think that if we made a national commemorative holiday for everything that's important and happened in our history, we'd have no working days left. But I think that the spirit of Juneteenth, we already channeled into other holidays, like Martin Luther King Day, like President's Day. I think we can commemorate the spirit of that holiday separately. So I think that we shouldn't have redundant holidays that celebrate overlapping purposes. It should have a distinct purpose. And I think, let's be honest, the reason for making that a holiday was under political duress. It was a political hostage situation on the back of the death of George Floyd. And I think that should not be how we create holidays. We should not create holidays with a cultural gun to our head. And that's what happened with Juneteenth.
Thanks for watching.
So this is what I talk about when I say these people, if they don't have a pro-black agenda, I don't see the point of voting for them. If they don't care about our issues, if they don't care about working class issues, if they don't care about veterans health care, if they don't care about Medicare for all, if they don't care about education, So we're going to go over a few things that he said. Juneteenth is a useless holiday, for one. Should be canceled, for two. People should be working and not celebrating a pointless holiday. Well, a couple of facts. It isn't pointless to black people. We've been celebrating Juneteenth for a very long time, sir. In fact, we're not the ones who was begging and fiending for y'all to throw it up there. That was probably some liberals who gave a damn about making sure Juneteenth got pushed through. And Democrats love giving us symbolism, so why not give us Juneteenth? And personally, to be honest with you, we don't need y'all to validate it. We was gonna celebrate Juneteenth regardless. And that's what I want you guys to really like get. This dude has contempt for anything black. He wants it to be this uniform mixed thing of American exceptionalism. And unfortunately, his family hasn't been in this country as long as a lot of our other families have been in this country, and we know how racist it can be. So all I'm gonna tell this brother in this particular case is good luck. Vivek doesn't understand how culture works. Black folks have celebrated countless holidays without the validation of the federal government and acknowledgement of Americans overall. We don't need all that. We just do our own thing, which is why America is what America is today. Political gun to your head. Sir, you are what we call a clown. Vivek Ramaswamy's corny self went on CNN. I don't know. People say he might have gotten Don Lemon fired.
And I'm running for president to revive those ideas.
Excuse me. People say he got Don Lemon fired. I honestly don't know. I honestly don't even care whether or not he got Don Lemon fired. Don Lemon, to me, unless he proves he's a super champion of the progressive movement, I don't really care about him or anybody else on CNN. That being said, I think Don Lemon had a hard time landing his point. We're not really going to watch that part of the interview. We are going to look at a different part where he kind of speaks about gun laws. And again, his lack of acknowledgement of what our people have gone through and how it's shaped the country. He talks so much about knowing the history of America, yet he doesn't really truly understand why things happen in America the way that they did. So we'll look at that instead.
Attributes.
I want to get into a few issues, one of them being China. Before I get to China, I just want to better understand something you said this week speaking before the audience at the NRA. Here's what you said, referring to back to 1865. Here it was.
I want you to raise your hand if you know when the first anti-gun laws were passed in this country. Raise your hand if you do. 1865.
Wrong. Stupid.
You want to know when it happened? We fought a civil war in this country to give black Americans the equal protection under the law that we failed to secure them in 1776. But then you want to know what happened? Southern states passed anti-gun laws that stopped black people from owning guns. The Democrat Party, then as in now, wanted to put them back in chains.
Then as in now, that's quite an accusation about the current Democratic Party.
Tell
Who
me.
and what were you referring to?
I was referring to Joe Biden and his expression of wanting to put them back in chains.
Yo, he's so extreme. What is wrong with this cat, bro? Joe Biden, bro, shut up.
Dating back to Lyndon Johnson. I think Lyndon Johnson's so-called Great Society was one of the greatest misnomers in American political history, where even back then in the 1960s, 70% plus of black kids were born into two-parent homes. Today, that number is less than 30% in the opposite direction. The very
That's not black people's fault. That's mostly the federal government for locking up most black men.
policies that we implemented in this country in the name of helping black Americans have actually been disastrous for black Americans and all Americans. And I think that that's something that we need to wake up to.
In 1865, you were talking about the black codes, right?
That's right.
Passed.
That's not a real talking point, bro. You just threw out a word salad.
Enacted to make it a crime for a black person to carry a gun
Exactly.
in the South. But you're equating that to the current president? You're referring to economic change? What are you saying?
See, this
Well,
lady
I
has
was
a brain.
referring to Joe Biden's, I think, ill-chosen expression to say they're the party that wants to put you back into chains. What I'm actually saying is that if you look at the policies of the modern Democratic Party,
about Democrats.
absolutely. So what I'm saying
is I'm conflating slavery and putting black people in chains to Democrats and Joe Biden because, you know, I like to just put words together.
is that actually it's policies like that of Lyndon Johnson and Joe Biden that are actually holding black
Lyndon
Americans
Johnson's
back.
the war on poverty?
Yes, and in particular, his Great Society, where he actually created incentives in the family, where if you're a family, you could actually get more money by not having the father in the home. Guess what you get? You get what you pay for. And I think it's been really bad for the black community. I think it's really bad for all Americans.
Do you have anything on this before I move on to China?
I don't see what one has to do with the other, but go on. I took up a lot of time with Fox.
Oh, it's fine. We have time.
I don't really see what one
Now,
has
see,
to do
this
with
is where
the
it
other,
goes
especially
left. And this is the part we're not going to watch, but I want y'all to notice she invited him back into the conversation. But it goes completely left after that. I'm going to put the link in the description. You can check it out for yourself if you haven't seen it. It's been a while since it happened, so I'm pretty sure you can get all the information you want. But after that, Don Lemon stumbles because Don Lemon don't know his history. And he unfortunately is a part of the boule, and he's a part of this bourgeoisie black class who just don't know the history. So Vivek Ramaswamy just ate him up. Sucks for him. Nonetheless, Vivek Ramaswamy doesn't know anything about black people. He talks about a policy that his family wasn't around to be a part of and truly understand. So he has a detached view of it. I don't care how much information you read on it. If you weren't there, there's no real reason for you to speak on any of these issues because your family wasn't even here. Bro, you probably wasn't even alive. And even if you was, you had no idea what was going on because y'all people just got here. Yes, there was incentives to keep black men out of the homes. And it was terrible. There was a bunch of poison pills in all those bills. But for whatever reason, those black folks who fought for that civil rights bill, they got something for themselves. And that's more to say than what we in our progressive socialist movement is doing. And by the way, let me just make it clear. I don't even know how much of a socialist I am. I would say like I'm a social capitalist or something like that. Like I believe that we should definitely use capitalism in conjunction with socialism for sure. But either way, here nor there. Vivek Ramaswamy, in my opinion, doesn't know what he's talking about because he ain't black. I mean, in all honesty, how long has Vivek Ramaswamy been black? Because it seems like he acts like he knows a lot about what's going on with black people. So we're going to speak on we're going to talk a little bit about what Vivek Ramaswamy was speaking to. On crafting the Second Amendment, so this is based on this information we got out of the second, Race and Guns in the Fatal Unequal America by Carol Anderson. On the crafting of the Second Amendment at the Constitutional Convention, it was in response to concerns coming out of the Virginia Ratification Convention for the Constitution, led by Patrick Henry and George Mason, that the militia that was controlled solely by the federal government would not be there to protect the slave owners from slave owners from an enslaved uprising. And James Madison crafted that language in order to mollify the concerns coming out of the Virginia and the Anti-Federalists, that they would still have full control over their state militias, and those militias were used in order to quell slave revolts. The Second Amendment really provided the cover the assurances that Patrick Henry and George Mason needed, that the militias would not be controlled by the federal government, but that they would be controlled by the states, and at the beck and call of the states to be able to put down these slave revolts. But I don't know. I can't read that last part. For some reason, I can't see it. That's what happened. It wasn't over getting black people the chance to own a gun. If they was fighting to keep us slaves, and the North barely wanted to do that for us because they had deep racism, what the hell makes you think they want us to own guns, bro? What world are you living in? You want me to prove it? You want to see what I'm saying? This is the Black Panthers walking up into the state capitol building in California. Right? Throughout the late 60s, the militant black nationalist group used their understanding of the finer details of California's gun laws to underscore their political statements about the subjugation of African Americans in 1967. 30 members of the Black Panthers protested on the steps of California State House armed with .357 Magnums, 12-gauge shotguns, and .45 caliber pistols, and announced, "The time has come for black people to arm themselves." The display so frightened politicians in 1967, 100 years after they fought this war to give black people guns, Vivek. The display so frightened politicians, including California Governor Ronald Reagan, that it helped pass the Mulford Act, a state bill prohibiting the open carry of loaded firearms, along with the addendum prohibiting loaded firearms in the state capital. Excuse me, guys, this is kind of small. I'm writing. The 1967 bill took California down the path to having some of the strictest gun laws in America and helped jumpstart a surge of national gun control restrictions. The law was part of a wave of laws that were passed in the late 1960s regulating guns, especially to target African Americans, says Adam Winkler, author of Gunfight, The Battle Over the Right to Bear Arms, including the Gun Control Act of 1968, which adopted new laws prohibiting certain people from owning guns, providing for beefed up licensing and inspection of gun dealers, and restricting the importation of cheap Saturday night specials, pocket pistols, that were popular in some urban communities. Vivek Ramaswamy has it all wrong. Because Vivek Ramaswamy don't really have an appreciation for our culture. As far as he's concerned, America started when his grandparents got here. Or his parents got here or something. I truly don't understand why he doesn't have respect for actual American history and actual American culture. But he doesn't. And this is the best part. I got to tell you. To me, this is the best part.
What somebody, because I went on the Breakfast Club. I don't know if did you see that interview?
Saw it, of course.
Yeah.
We did
I faced
deep prep.
I appreciate that. Deep prep. I appreciate deep prep. So I had a moment in that interview where I could probably have done to this woman, I forget her name, what you might be able to do to the people who were in that room with you in Illinois, which is to take a speck of what she said and then just say, this is my occasion to bury her. I kind of had that moment on set with Don Lemon and
Oh, yeah? Her name is Teslin Figueroa, by the way. And she is one of our most fiercest freedom fighters. And your boy Vivek found that out. He's trying to act like he didn't, but he found out. Full stop. This woman is one of our very best, our most decorated And I mean, if you haven't heard about Tesla and Figueroa, then you probably living under a rock or definitely not paying attention. She's putting in crazy amounts of work to try to move the needle and push the line. So shout out to her and shout out to Charlamagne and all those guys for always putting her on. But this is what an ass whooping looks like. And this is why Vivek Ramaswamy trying to come to the black community or go get his hair cut in Chicago. Bro, you got to take those Republican talking points somewhere else. You ain't no different. I mean, bro, you sound like you look like the prototypical politician. Just clean cut. Like, bro, and we don't need or want that. And she schooled you and told you exactly why. So let's just take a look at what it looks like when somebody cuts out all the BS and gets to the core of who Vivek Ramaswamy actually is.
A spanking and I was on punishment for months and months. But that is a simple way of organizing people. So I want you to kind of boast about it the way you did the millions of dollars and said what you did with the pharmaceutical companies. What leadership can you point to that you've been able to rally anybody around anything that is of service that you did not pay anybody to do? I think that's important for the next president of the United States.
Sure. So I've always been drawn to healthcare. That's why I ended up founding companies in that space. When I was in high school, part of what drew me into it was that I was a volunteer at a local hospital. I actually became the leader of that group of volunteers that actually discharged women who had recently given birth. That was it. Nothing big to it.
Did you do anything we can point to stand out?
But I want to say something about that because I say that in the book. If I'm being really honest, why did I do that in high school? A part of the motivation, I'll be just brutally honest with you, was part of the motivation was that's actually what allows you to get into a good college when you graduate. Is you want to check the box of community service.
So it was about you.
So there was an element.
About self.
So there's and I'm admitting that in a way that very few other people do. But I got to be honest about it. That was a big part of why I did it.
Yeah, it was about self, and I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to give it back to the guys. I'm going to be honest about it with you.
Yep.
Leadership is not about self.
I agree with you on that.
What I just heard is that everything is about you, and to be honest with you, this is just a PR campaign, sir, to be honest with you.
That's how
and
I
think
feel.
You're trying to go further to the right because you want the Republicans to accept you as a man of color, and I think the only way you think you can do that is to be so extreme
I appreciate your opinion.
with your positions, and I think you need to do a little bit more.
See, so look, he tries to downplay what she's saying because she has valid criticisms, but he's trying to downplay what she's saying by saying, I'll respect your opinion. No, bro, you literally, she asked, the question was, if you guys didn't know, the question was, what have you done in leadership or that we can point to that shows that you have given service, just about giving service? And he pointed to something that he did in service, but it was, but the motivation behind it was for it to help him. He looks like a grifter. He looks like an opportunist. He looks like a careerist. He doesn't look like anybody that's actually going to be out there fighting for working class people, particularly black people. And when you come to our community, particularly our realest people and our hardest workers, we're going to ask you the hard questions. We're not going to give you no softballs and be, oh, what are you going to give us at some barbershop? You see what I'm saying? This dude is a joke.
Work in service. I'll give it back to you guys.
Let me ask, because she did ask me a question, and then you guys said you wanted to hear a response, but I think I heard an expression of opinion. So just, I want to make sure you're all done before I respond to it.
No, just wanted to say that even then, I would still want you to point out, even at the hospital, something that you did that made you stand out on when actually taking a leadership role. But you already answered it. You said you did it because it was a motivation to get in college.
Exactly.
Which means it was
about you. And I'm being very
you.
honest about that. But
everything has been about you. So as a veteran,
let me tell you something. I appreciate
it's very hard for me to follow leaders that make everything about them. So you might want to work on that because it's a lot of veterans and Republicans. So you might want to work on that talking point and maybe do some volunteering while you're on the campaign trail. I'm going to give it back to Charlamagne and Envy.
Yeah, I want to be respectful. Want to make sure you got everything you wanted to on the table before I respond to that.
If this was just us, it would be a lot more.
You guys tell me. I'm the guest on your show. You tell me when I'm good to speak.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
You sure? You sure about that? If we're good.
Yeah, we're sure.
So, I think there's a different worldview that we have.
Hilarious.
And I think the worldview is how one actually makes contributions in a country. I do not believe that there's a separate category of just if you're serving the country and then if you're acting in self-interest, that's somehow sinful or wrong. I reject that vision. To the contrary, I think capitalism is the best system known to man to lift people up from poverty. I deeply respect and I thank you for your service to this country. I'm grateful for it. I haven't served the country in the way that you have. But I think that the way you get ahead in capitalism, how did I develop a multi-billion-dollar biotech company? It was by developing medicines that save people's lives.
A lot of people say capitalism causes poverty.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
Okay.
I disagree with that. I think that capitalism demands that you provide something to someone that helps them more than you're actually charging them for it. That's the only way.
That's
the
a
tried
business
and true
model,
way.
sir. That's
it
not
is a business
service.
model. It's not. I'm
See
not
what I'm
saying
saying?
service.
I'm saying it's
But
having
see,
an impact on
as
society.
an elected official is service. That's the disconnect
That's right. So
that you're
now,
missing that they didn't
I'm
teach you.
moving on to there are phases of our lives where we do different things.
Well,
I've
you're
been-
moving straight all the way up to President of the United States.
You know, I don't
Let's
view it as a
start first.
hierarchy. I don't view it as a hierarchy. I don't believe in hierarchies. The hierarchy is the way the
that's the pro-
bureaucracy works. I don't believe in so we have a
I
difference in
know
opinion.
you also don't believe in service, and that's where we're having a disconnect.
Well, I disagree with you on that.
You know,
I just disagree with you on that.
I do think it's whack that you're proposing to revoke voting rights for 18 to 24-year-olds unless they meet certain qualifications, but you never exercise your rights.
Well,
for so long.
So most young people don't. Is the whole point.
Well,
So
that's not
Charlamagne, let me
true.
ask you a question.
The
Do you think the most
largest voter turnouts have been over the last couple elections, few elections?
they
actually.
still voted at a very low rate? But let me ask you a question. What do you think about high school students being required to pass the civics test? What's your perspective on that?
The one that you proposed?
The one that every immigrant has to pass in order to enter the country. If every high school student has to pass that
Hell no.
before they graduate, what's your take on that?
You're bugging.
Okay, good. Now let me tell you something about the law as it exists
Charlamagne,
today.
Of course, Charlamagne cool with that.
Men in this country, not women, but men are required by law to register with the Selective Service, age 18 to 25. That's the draft. We don't have a draft, but men have to register. If you don't, they put you in prison. At least they can. It's a criminal offense if you don't. My view is I would decriminalize that. I don't like the government telling you what you can and cannot do. That's not the American way. But if you want to enjoy the civic privilege of voting, then I think it is perfectly legitimate to say you have to at least know something about the country or have served that country, one or the other. Absolutely. Now, I think that what do we actually care about, right? What do we? I mean, we can do the personal attack thing. We care about the country. We care about the country.
Voting is the cornerstone of democracy, though.
Voting is the cornerstone of
didn't
democracy.
exercise.
I have
Well,
not.
sir,
Yeah,
excuse
that's
me.
right. And you know what? Here's the thing. Here's the thing that's different
Respectfully,
is.
sir, excuse me, because this is important. We have to pause it. This is not a personal attack.
That's okay.
This is you, and I know that as a Republican, you are certainly not soft. So this is not a personal attack.
Yeah,
this
I'm
is
okay with
asking
attacks,
about.
too.
This is about asking about your background and how it correlates, how it's relevant to saying you're going to serve this country because. President is actually
So I have been an
serving
open book
the
in the
country.
last
No,
3 years.
Yeah, I know, and I'm
Absolutely.
going page by page.
And
but
I'm
it's not
saying
an
that I
attack.
have not-
I'm gonna let you finish.
Yep.
But I want to be clear, it's not an attack.
Okay.
Because you've been an open
Cook 'em,
book. But that
Taz.
doesn't mean I have to like what's on the page.
That's fair
But
enough.
it's not an attack. I'm just reading the book.
Yep.
And so when I hear somebody say you need to get to either pass this test or do some type of service to the country, and I spend hours looking. You were in the Phi Beta Kappa. Did you have a leadership role in college, the honor roll? When somebody sets service as the standard and they've done no service except to themselves, that's a fair question. It's a question, and you just
So
couldn't
I've
answer
been
the
on the.
question.
I mean, look,
It's
I was
not
on
an
high
attack.
school.
So, not only is she completely correct for G checking him about saying that this was an attack, because it wasn't. Vivek Ramaswamy just can't take the freaking heat in the black kitchen. There's a lot of people who shouldn't just be in the black kitchen. You get roasted. He's a clown for that. That's what he gets. Listen. The contributions that black people have contributed to this country, the contributions that most Americans, all Americans that have been here since Reconstruction, before Reconstruction, you can't quantify that, and you're not putting a test on it, and it's, in my opinion, completely disrespectful for you to come here after the fact, after we fought for you to even have the opportunity to come here and have the success you have and be a billionaire, that you tell me that my children, that my grandparents who fought for it and voted for it, their children have to now pass a test because your parents came in after they fought for it. Get out of here with that. No. That's a dumb law. And you're dumb for trying to pass it. Absolutely not. They fought and died. I mean, that's literally the slogan. They fought and died for you to have these rights and freedoms. So I am not allowing you to take it away and water it down with some stupid wannabe tests that you feel you get to, that you now feel like you get to pass judgment on people who you think don't appreciate the country. And you spent all this time not appreciating the country. Now you have this deep reverence and honor for the country that you want to be the president of the United States and then take rights away and pull the ladder up. Get out of it, bro. Get out of here. Vivek Ramaswamy is a clown. Listen, I hope this helped you guys. I did it because I'm trying to do as many relevant candidates as possible, but I truly, truly, truly loathe this dude. He's a douche. I don't respect him. I hope he keeps running into people in the black community who press him and give him hard questions because he clearly cannot answer them. He went on David Pakman's show and tried to flex. I hope he goes one-on-one with Tesla Figueroa one more time so I can watch her cook him again. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. Please leave a comment down if you agree, if you don't agree. Help me figure out who you guys want to see me do a video on next out of the presidential candidates. Other than that, we got a couple of more things lined up. But I wanted to get this one out because it's been a little bit and I got a couple of changes going on. We got the new mic. Hey, get a camera soon. Hey, as you can see, my son, the artistic genius that he is, I'm telling you, I'm going to sell these for millions of dollars one day. I'm sure of it. But yeah, it's a Center Podcast. It's your boy DjPinHD. Much love. Republicans make everything bleak. And if he gets elected, bleak, bleakity, bleak, bleak, man, I swear.